Art brings us together. It gives us a chance to celebrate each other. So this show is just a few of the celebrations we shared this year. Happy next year.
Well, she crashed her car, but everyone said she was beautiful even without her head. Everyone said she was dangerous. Well, the chief of police kept the crime off the streets. Deep in his heart, we all knew he felt differently. We all knew he was an anarchist. Well, I'd like to devour, but you'd probably devour me for your golden wheat, for your oat brand head. Deep in my heart, girl, you're a beautiful animal. I'll put a tag on your ear. Here we go. Where she crashed her car, but everyone said she was beautiful even without her head. Everyone said she was dangerous. Well, the chief of police kept the crime off the streets. Deep in his heart, we all knew he felt differently. We all knew he was an anarchist. Well, I'd like to devour, but you probably devour me. Well, I'd like to devour you, but you probably devour me.
Blood Moon, filthy capitalist self-promotion.
I'm used to this part.
Yeah.
For every one of your shows.
Going live in 10 minutes.
Hello, John. I'm so glad that we got to get together to help promote your album, because it's so it does all the things you do well, even a little better.
Outside, all the world is standing by, or so the voices say. inside, as the truth is still denied, we live another day.
Lost on the Inside.
Lost on the Inside. The pandemic had just come down upon us all as a species, as humans. Cracker had just done a couple of shows in Alaska, and then the breaks came down and all shows were canceled. Everything was up in the air, and we all went home. There was a pandemic. There was a deadly virus out there. I went home, and one of the first things I did was to come up with that riff. And I made sure I got it down before I forgot the riff. And then I thought, well, I'll write a song around it someday, maybe in a year or a month or whatever. The very next day, the lyrics started coming to me, Lost on the Inside, because suddenly we're all in quarantine. Suddenly we're all taken out of our social environment, our work environment, and we have to divide up and go into our homes and protect ourselves from this deadly virus. If you were smart, or you went out there and got it and died saying, I'm not going to have my rights infringed upon it. And then you pass away from this horrible virus. And all these things were going on. And then that title came to me, Lost on the Inside. We're all forced to be inside now, but we really don't know what to do. So we're all lost on the inside, which also relates. You can take that any way you want to, of people lost on the inside, metaphorically. Lost on the inside, your soul's not sorted out yet, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, but it just inspired me to write from a place of, well, I can't go out. I can't go hang out and watch a band play at my favorite bar in Fort Collins. We're not going to tour. Everything is shut down. We're all lost on the inside, and the song just happened in half an hour. Just got it down quickly.
Yeah, perfect.
And it ended up got a little more psychedelic, and that was just where I was at the time. And later, it was much later decided, Philip was pretty insistent about it, that I think it's a good opener for the album because it speaks to the times that we're in, and it's got one of those Hickman riffs.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Does.
Yeah, I think, how old were we when we met and started making music together? I think I was 20.
Yeah.
And that's a very long time ago. We started learning from each other and from Bob Jarvistad and other friends of ours right from the get-go, and creating who we are as artists. And they have all these influences, but we kind of started writing our own page pretty early on.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm very proud of that fact. I go back and listen to those songs that we wrote together all the way through to now. And on this record, there is a Chris LeRoy song and a Johnny and Chris song, and the rest are Johnny songs. And so here we are. The longest song on the album.
Number 10, Monster.
Number 10, Monster. Monster was birthed from a demo. Well, it was beyond a demo. It was basically a complete song. Sometimes it's a matter of like, no, it's a complete structure, and it just needs the right sounds, or it needs one more lyric line or something, and we complete each other's songs that way. And it's a real joy to do with Chris and I, as with Mr. Lowry and I. Sometimes we complete a blueprint that was set down by the other guy. And in this case, it was one of several songs of Chris's that I'd heard that I kind of went, huh, I can see the monster in my soul, which was powerful right there. And somewhere in Chris's chord structure, which I added to and changed and morphed throughout my version of the song, but it was just, I heard, into my mind, I heard a guitar epic in the middle of that, along the lines of Harvest Queen and these other songs, or another song about the rain, these songs we've written together, which become a canvas for my guitar playing. And there weren't, there are guitar solos all through Blood Moon. I kind of heard the possibilities of it becoming one of our guitar epic co-writes. And, Cracker has those songs. They say Cajetan, where these songs where David's got an initial idea and I just launch it into outer space, into this big guitar thing. And I'm kind of known, thank you people, as a guitar player. I've been an influential guitar player, which leads me to all the guitar players who have influenced me, who I bring full circle into these songs. Peter Green was the influence of the guitar parts on Harvest Queen, which
Absolutely.
we wrote, Peter Green era, Fleetwood Mac, and these guitar players that are Jimi Hendrix, or, I have these teachers who have led me, Jeff Beck, who have led me down these paths. And then we get to Monster, and my initial version of the song was yet again like 8 minutes long or something. So I had to pare it down. And I had Carlton Owens and Brian Howard. I sent my rough draft of the song to those guys to see where they would take it as Cracker's very, very powerful rhythm section. And they took it to a very heavy, but very dynamic place musically. And I kind of went with their lead on that. And I took it even farther, where on the record, the song starts in a very delicate, I'm playing 2 acoustic guitars with different tunings to get this. I wanted to get this sort of mid-period Stones, Keith Richards thing of the guitar, like the beginning of Wild Horses, or one of these songs that at their core is an acoustic guitar song.
Yeah.
But, and the picking and very lacy and very pretty. But I wanted to take Monster, start that way, and then it starts that way and it goes through a verse, and then bam, for some reason, Brian and Carlton decided that this is where the foot is planted. Boom, boom, and then they bring it to rock. It's like Layla, or one of these songs that delicate side, and it gets gigantic, or Stairway to Heaven, or any number of Zeppelin songs, or songs that incorporate this beautiful, I call it the feminine side of a song, which gets very masculine, it gets very heavy at some point, but never loses its feminine side of the beauty, of the delicacy of the lyric and the song. So I wanted to create a song that would do this, as we've done with another song about the rain, or I've done with St. Cajetan, some of the Cracker songs, or One Fine Day, where it becomes a guitar epic. And and it's a very freeing thing, because I know at some point in the song I'm going to launch into guitar worlds. And so Monster became this song of many chapters. It's a long story that keeps turning back on that chorus, which is very, very powerful. Thank you, Chris. Trevor, our English friend, got it immediately. He called it, what does he call it? The guitar epic Monster finds Hickman rejoining with his songwriting partner, Chris LeRoy. And their songwriting partnership is what made Palm Hinge this great debut solo album, with Lucky and with Harvest Queen. And he immediately got that there was a power in our songwriting.
Yeah.
Did you have a prayer for me to bring along the garden gate with me? Did you really cry for me? When I look inside of me, I see, yeah, I can see the monster in my soul. Yeah, I can see the monster in my soul. There's no turning back now. It's out of all control.
And it gets to this huge place. I listen to it now and I go, wow, I really went out there, man.
Yeah, no, it is. It's such a powerful ending to a very powerful album. I mean, it has all these pathways, but they seem to be held together. As I shared with you earlier, says that in this song, it seems to kind of even pull the album forward, and it's like a nebula, exploding, this big giant thing. But
Good
then
way to
it
put
ends
it.
on some very simple, quiet chords that take you out.
Yeah.
Finishes the thought. And like I wrote to you, 3 hours ago, maybe, I said, you should be very proud of Blood Moon, because I am.
I think I got what I was going for here.
Yeah, it's too
Really.
Now we're cooking.
Now we're cooking. And so in this last segment, my friend, I want you to read, because it seems like a great trajectory from the beginning of the book, where the plane is landing and you're going into this space and you find yourself and ancestors and all sorts of parts about yourself, to the last poem that seems to summarize, for me, that seems to summarize the whole collection.
And the journey too, right?
We want to start with Diaspora. That would be great.
Great. Diaspora. The island of Tinos is home to West Wind. I learned right after Monthaw's friend rented me the car and told me to hold tight to the handle when I opened the door so it wouldn't rip off or I'd have to buy a new one. The wind throws dust onto every possible surface. I park in the driveway and hold tight to the handle. I'm at the age where I trust night to shift into day. Here in the pulse of morning, I measure my heartbeats with words. Boston is a wet gray bowl, far from the olive tree on grandmother's land. She made a deal in exchange for 2 apartments and a marble foyer. A stump stands in what's left of the yard. I am home and far from it. Zephyrus rushes rain into my window and slices the silence. Water pours into the ground. In Thessaloniki, I visit the cemetery with my aunt to see the grave of her mother, my grandmother. We pass naked excavations that once honored sacred remains. What's left, delved among bones of the dead, are 3-cornered heads of coffins exposed in the dirt. There's no land, my aunt explains. After a while, we just need to make room. She's dead now, too. The accents and letters of my Greek ancestors gutter in my mouth. Parakalo, Efcharisto, beginning, end, alpha, omega. There's no end to the combinations I could make. I translate Greek to English, English to Greek, every word made up of 2. Iconoclast, nostalgia, dyslexic. To remind me where I'm headed, I throw ashes at the ancestors. So it sort of comes to me through osmosis, not to get too hocus pocus about it, but you know what I mean? It's sort of like it's in the blood. It's in the blood.
And I think that's sort of the magic of poetry, is that it takes a risk. It's a form of discovery, just like the whole book is a journey. You got to discover places and people and feelings and connections that weren't available to you before you wrote the poem.
There was something that you said a little earlier about how what I didn't know, and through the poem, there's the realization of it. And that's really what poetry, that's a very astute comment, because that's what poetry is about. You sort of don't know what the destination is until you get there. You can get it on Amazon. Let me say
Yes.
that if you key in Nike adjusting her sandal, what will come up is all of the Nike products, all of the Nike shoe products on Amazon.
Right.
So if you type in my name, Anastasia Vassos, you can find the book that way.
See you soon, my friend.
See you soon, Chris. Thank you again.
Thanks so much.
How can I have more than one song without redemption? When I feel it's the only time I write, and I couldn't lose myself without some help. So I left before the dreams of someone else. How can you ask more than one time what is on my mind? If you had to ask, I guess I'll buy myself, and I couldn't lose myself without your help. So I left me for the dreams all of ourselves. And though I said I will do more, you know I don't. Over and over again. Over and over again. So if I had more than one song without redemption, well then that's because it never seems to last. I just as quickly fall back to the fog and drift till the day comes when it all begins again. And though I say I will do more, you know I don't. Over and over again. Over and over again. I wanna see, I wanna feel, wanna know what it's like to be. Wanna see, wanna feel, wanna know in my heart it's real.
Indeed, here I am for about a week
I am so glad to
that I'm
see-
alive.
we were going to record. We were going to go to the studio.
Yep.
And then you said, well, I'm going to hang with my friends. Maybe we'll do some music and fall off a cliff or something. And in the midst of that, this is the best album you've ever made.
It's and I think it is, and everybody I've sent it to has told me it is.
Yes.
And the first song in the series existed kind of in February before we went into lockdown.
Francis was a mystic. I saw him walking in the fields. He said he'd never felt as hopeless, never felt as lonesome, never felt as free. Once I was young and running wild, but time has had its way with me. And now I'm resolute and restless, scorned, forsaken, lonely, maledicted and released. And in this shared hallucination, the unproven is believed. What's the point in looking around? How do we call things into town if we know just what we think? We know just what we think.
According to a concert timeline on the Doors' official website, the group played the Inland Empire on 3 occasions. The first time was on January 29, 1966, at the Redlands Bowl in Redlands. The second time was on July 4, 1967, at the Kaiser Dome on the National Orange Show Fairgrounds in San Bernardino. The third and final time was on December 16, 1967, at the Swing Auditorium, again on the National Orange Show Fairgrounds in San Bernardino. Other than the mention on the Doors' official website, there's not much documentation of their January 1966 appearance at the Redlands Bowl. It took place before they signed a contract with Elektra Records and was only their 8th performance as the Doors. The Doors' July 1967 appearance at the Kaiser Dome was presented by IE radio station KMEN. The Kaiser Dome concert took place not long after the Doors' single Light My Fire was the #1 song in the nation. This appearance has a number of eyewitness accounts of the show, including this one by IE musician Greg Eckler, who is pictured here with his group, The Light. Eckler said, "The Light opened for the Doors at Kaiser Dome when they played there. Unfortunately, the only things I remember about them was A, Jim Morrison loaded out of his mind, laying on the roof of an automobile outside, jabbering into the sky just prior to their coming on stage. And B, near the end of their performance, Jim took his mic out of the stand and started slinging it around and around, letting cord out as he went. At some point, it smashed a young girl standing stage front right in the face, causing great injury to the young lady, and then the show was over. You think?" However, there was another version of what happened to the young fan that night, but more on that later. Despite the alleged chaos, the show was well attended with some 1,600 fans squeezed into the small venue. The third and final Doors Inland Empire appearance occurred in December 1967. KMEN again promoted the concert. By then, the Doors had released their second album and were so popular that the show was staged in the Swing Auditorium. The promoters might have been a bit apprehensive because this article appeared less than a week before the San Bernardino show. This was the infamous 12/9/67 New Haven, Connecticut appearance, where Morrison was arrested on stage. Morrison had spent most of the night taunting the police, who, before the concert, in a case of mistaken identity, maced him backstage. Morrison was charged with inciting a riot, indecency, and public obscenity. He posted bond and was released. Later, the charges were dropped. All things considered, the Doors' December 1967 Swing Auditorium appearance was fairly sedate. 5,500 fans enjoyed the Doors' performance, which was preceded by unsigned bands, Friends and Relations, Fly By Night Company, Electric Chair, and East Side Kids. The Doors were even in a good enough mood to pose for a backstage photo with Cayman DJs Brad Edwards and Phil Otis. This would normally be the end of the Doors' involvement with the Inland Empire. However, there was still the matter of the young fan that was injured at the July 1967 Kaiserdome concert. On September 5, 1969, a lawsuit was filed on behalf of her by her mother. This was more than 2 years after the incident supposedly took place. She alleged that Jim Morrison kicked a stage light that went into the audience, striking the girl. The mother sued the Doors and radio station KMEN for $25,000. The lawsuit claimed that the incident caused harm and possible permanent physical and emotional damage to the girl. On November 21, 1969, an answer to the court was filed on behalf of KMEN and the Doors. The declaration denied all charges and damages sought by the plaintiffs. Following Jim Morrison's death on July 3, 1971, and during the probate filing of his last will and testament, there were creditors' claims from Doors guitarist Robbie Krieger, keyboardist Ray Manzarek, and drummer John Densmore in the amount of $25,000. Morrison's share was to be 1/4 of the damages if the plaintiffs of the lawsuit prevailed in court. The creditors, aka the Doors, claims go on to explain that if the plaintiffs prevailed, the estate of Jim Morrison would owe the surviving Doors their costs incurred in the lawsuit. However, from this point, the trail of the lawsuit grows cold. It can probably be safely assumed that the suit was either dropped or settled out of court. Dead or alive, there was never a dull moment when it came to Jim Morrison.
Hey, Bosscat, how you doing?
Hey, DC. Oh, I'm doing what I do every day.
You know, the Dangers have a new album out. It's called Heaven. Hey, Greg, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, Chris?
I'm so glad that you're here at the Lo-Fi Lounge, and during this very odd year, I had the pleasure, it was just the joy of picking up your album, your new album, uh, Imperial Gardens. It's an instrumental album. It's almost rhapsodic in its intent. It has many ravines of lyrical beauty. Like, when did you start working on this album?
I started recording this record with David Immergluck producing in 2010.
Wow.
It was like, come down to LA, get out of your comfort zone. Let's just just come down here and let's just work. Because he's done so much session work. He's just kind of got this black book, of all these people he meets and connects with. So when it was time, if he had an idea to bring someone in to do something, he just kind of call them up. They come down, session type things, and just come in. And it's like so different from how I was used to working. It's like me and him, we complete our sentences, for me and David, when we're talking, it's really funny. It's like he's kind of like my musical confidant too. It's like he gets me. He knows what I'm trying to do. He's always got cool references. A lot of the stuff that he references, I might not be familiar with. It's kind of interesting,
Yeah.
Because he's a big fan of a bunch of, British blues stuff from the 60s and English folk rock and stuff. And
well, I probably have used Oh Well, a version of Oh Well,
right.
about 4 times. Right. How well recorded. It's just meticulous, the sound, more pure melodic acoustic lines that are just so, not only they're well played, but they are produced so well that some very, very fine touches that you have there just come right through.
I was able to get so inside of recording all that guitar stuff too. It's a Martin D28, and I picked up it's a really beautiful sounding guitar.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like when I was putting it together, it's like I really wanted to kind of show people that I'm capable of doing. I'm capable of doing these different things.
Right.
And especially as a writer too, like there's some stuff that sounds kind of bluegrass. There's some really folky sounding stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different styles. So I think I kind of intentionally went out of my way to choose these songs that were just, everything kind of represented a little something else. It's kind of funny because like David Lowery always said, oh, Greg's like such a chameleon. Like we've kind of we play, our band does all these different styles, and it's like I wasn't, I remember when we recorded Sad Lover's Waltz on the second record, 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And it's like I'd never played country music in my entire life.
Wow.
I felt like I never quite sold my soul to that, to those styles. So I'm always got all these different things that I'm doing. And what I really need to be doing is I really need to be sitting down and focusing on finishing the titles, getting the title of the record, doing all the stuff that you're supposed to do to get stuff out. And it's weird. It's like I always want to be in the studio. I always want to be, recording or playing, or I really wanted the titles to fit the the vibe of the song. Like that's the other thing too. It's like, oh, there's no lyrics to reference for a title, so I'm just going to make a bunch of random stuff. I couldn't do that either. I couldn't just randomly make stupid titles.
Right.
So I kind of felt like, man, it took me a little longer, you know. I really want these titles to somehow represent the vibe of the music. And it was like, it was hard. So, but in the end, I liked everything. I liked the way it worked.
Hair was dark and cropped at the neck. She had Spanish eyes and gypsy flesh. She ruined me. Ah, yeah. Never should have had honey like that. When it's gone, man, and it don't come back, you ruined me. Ah, yeah, you ruined me. When I met you, I was just a kid. If you didn't want me then, you should have said, there's a moon out there, but my world's darker than ever. Oh, Katrina, have mercy on me. You're the only girl that I ever loved, and you ruined me. Ah, yeah, you ruined me. They say love comes, what's inside. They never saw you through my love shine. You ruined me, girl, you ruined me. Ruined me, yeah, you ruined me. I'm sitting on the train track trying to.
New shirt for a new year. See you folks in 2022.
Where the rain comes down, where your heart turning round.